Welcome to episode 3 of the Change Impact Roundtable. We're here in Queens, New York, talking to our panelists about their relatable experiences as strong, successful young Black men. Joining us today is founder of Change Impact and visionary behind these projects, Michael Kidd Gilchrist. We also have with us Dr. Emmanuel Nsenso Jr., also known as Dr. J. Dr. J is a resident physician in the Combined Family Medicine and Preventative Medicine program at MedStar Franklin Square and Johns Hopkins. And last, we have Miles Johnson, senior at Morehouse College, majoring in communications with a minor in sports journalism. Miles is currently managing editor of the school's newspaper and hosts his own sports podcast called Real Talk with MJ. Gentlemen, I want to thank you all for your time and thank you for being here. And I also want to open up to you, Mike. First of all, it was your vision, to have strong, young, successful Black men come together in a setting like this. This is your vision. What inspired you to pull these two men into the room with you and have these conversations?
Yeah, man. I think just paying it forward, I think, for, like Miles from Philly, at Morehouse. And, it's not many people I know who is from Philly and that does stutter, for one, and two, have an ambition to, talk, like more and more and more, for Dr. J, earned that doctor, boy. I think just like it's the respect level for him, I know what I faced as a athlete, always on camera and stuff like that. So to kind of know the goal at a young age as a doctor is just different. So for me to kind of always take notice of them and in our relationship and stuff like that, it's just paying it forward to, us, to the, all the kids in our community. And it's something I ain't seen before. It's something I ain't never seen before.
The platform that you, one, giving them, and two, that you're creating with this whole Change and Impact it's incredible. I've seen it from its, infant stages and now to what it's becoming, where it's on its way to. It's a testament to who you are and what you believe in, and the importance of how you carry and what you're doing. So, how you came about where you are right now?
Yeah, so I started stuttering as long as I could remember, around maybe 4 or 5, and my parents, they picked it up. And they put me in speech therapy when I was real young. And so I went early on, and then they said that I graduated from the program. And I say in quotations because, I don't think you can really graduate from the program. But between elementary and middle school, up to high school, I didn't have any speech therapy up until then. And so it wasn't until after my sophomore year of high school, my mom put me in a stuttering camp during the summer. And I will say in the beginning, when I first heard about it, I was not trying to go, and I was thinking, I want to play basketball with my friends, go to just hang out with my friends, all that, and I just felt like it wasn't cool to be in a stuttering camp, but that was the most one of the most life-changing things that's happened to me was that camp. And Dr. Joe, director of the camp, he was able to bring us around people that were successful, that had a stutter. And so that really like helped my confidence. And then since then I was like, I want to be on TV, talking about sports.
It put that big of a chip in you.
Yeah, and I always had it in my mind, but then once I saw we had like a lawyer that was very successful in Philly that came to speak to us, I'm like, the lawyer can do it. Yeah, and it's his whole entire job is to speak. Then all I know is if I just work on my craft, that can just be I can be somebody that's on TV talking about sports or whatever it is. And so it was like ever since then, I just had that belief in myself. And then
that's amazing in itself.
And again, I'm happy that Mike, you believe in me to even have me in this space with successful black men like y'all. So I'm honored to be here.
Oh, that's amazing. Dr. J, give us a little background about how you came to where you are now.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a lot like Miles too. I stuttered like around 7 years like 02, and my mom stuttered as well too, and I was in the therapy and stuff from like elementary school to like high school. Then I stopped, then I restarted it, but like back then, like my whole idea was just that don't let nobody find out that I stutter, right? So like my whole mindset was just like, let me just hide it as much as I can. I don't want nobody to ever know that I stutter, right? And it was actually pretty successful back in high school, where like a lot of folks didn't know I stuttered, right? I was just like, quote unquote, like normal, right? Getting in quotes, but I also like knew that with myself, I was like holding myself back a lot, right? That there were certain things I wanted to do, but I'll let my stutter kind of like control me, right? If I felt that I was stutter, at like a certain time, then I would just kind of like hold myself back or just like not do something. So that was like my mindset, like going through college at Virginia Tech as well too. And back, so I was kind of like just like making it a little bit, but I remember in my junior year, right? I had to do this presentation, right? For class. And before then, right, every single time I would do a presentation, for like whatever reason, I was always fluent, But then this one time, it was like a group one. And per every single word I was trying to say, like, and nothing was coming out. Like every word from my name going on. And, I just like felt like I had let my group down. I felt like, so-called, like here I am pre-med and I can barely even say my name. And then like after that, like I just went home, and the only thing that was in my mouth, like I was like, bruh, how do you feel like, that like you can be a doctor if you can't even speak? And that was like what I was telling myself, like every single time. And I remember back in high school, like we had this project, right? Like where we had to like make our the 10-year goals, right? And then my 3 goals like were to like grow out a nice, like big beard and whatnot. So check. got that done, right? Check. 2, what's it called? Like was to like get to like med school and then like be a doctor, right? But then like goal like 3 was to stop stuttering forever, right? Because I knew that, bro, like there was no way that I could be a doctor and still stutter, right? So I would continue to try to just like fight that and just like figure out a way to solve it. But long story short, I like found a new speech therapist, so-called like near Blacksburg, and started to like do this one therapy called a avoidance reduction therapy, and just it kind of just like helped me understand that nothing really wrong with stuttering, right? It's to call like the best way for like me to like really excel and then to like be the best version of myself is just to make sure that I'm embracing it, I'm not running from it, and then again like I'm trying to figure out how to be the best communicator, not the best fluent person, right? So like it really just kind of helped me like understand that I could still do all these things, and every single goal that I set I could achieve it while still stuttering and still struggling with it every single day, but I'm still out here. You feel me? Like, you know, I'm still doing it.
As you talk about that chip on your shoulder when you was talking, and Dr. J, and you had mentioned at a point in time in your life where you like hit it, right? And I think for myself, you know, like it was like at a point in time in my life, like it was like really, really, really hard. You know, like hard. You know, like in school, I had an IEP because of it.
Me too.
Right, and you know, like I just thought, you know, like I was the only one, right? So, like, I remember this one time in class, right? I remember this one time in class, it's like 8th period.
End of the day.
Right, it's 8th period. It's the end of the day, you know, and the teacher kind of, you know, like, asked people to read. And, you know, like every time I put my head down, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to read, I don't want to read. So, you know, like it was one time that she asked me to read, you know, like, and even to your point, Jay, at that point in time, it was like every single word I just stuttered on. And, you know, I got picked on, I got teased and stuff like that. So, you know, like us here today and just, you know, like opening up and talking about this as, you know, men and as black men at that, you know, like I would have never thought that I would have the, you know, like ambition to even do it, right?
I would say, like, you know, talking about that like chip on your shoulder, I definitely felt that, and I still do till this day. You know, talk about, you know, being picked on. I know it was. I felt a lot of it really during high school. That was like the worst. That was the worst part. Middle school, I got some of it. I believe it was high school, and it made me feel bad about myself. Made me, you know, lose a lot of confidence. I would be more shy in high school, you know, than I am now. But one thing I will say though, having a stutter made me realize who my real friends are, because a lot of my friends, you know, would stick up for me. They'd be like, you know, don't talk to him like that. And I could figure out, okay, that's a real friend right there. The person that just made fun of me and all that, that's not somebody that I should really be around. So my mom, she actually told me, she's like, you got a gift because you can tell from the bat, you know who is, you know, like, you know, who's really like a good friend, or you know, or who is not. And so, you know, talking about that, like chip on your shoulder, it was times I was in class and I thought people underestimated me just because I had a stutter. And like opens up to you, Jay, too, as a doctor, like did you feel people that underestimated you because you had a stutter? And I guess, how did you go about it? Because again, for me, I kind of use that as fuel, because I'm like, okay, if you think that, you know, I'm incompetent, that, you know, I'm not a good communicator, I'm going to show you I'm a good communicator.
I want to unpack that a little bit, because both of you hit on trust, right? You hit on that about trust early in your life with your friends, and you talked about trusting people now in your life, you know, making sure they have the best interests, you know, your best interests involved. But, you know, growing up, who are like some of the people you guys leaned on, or, you know, talked to or express your concerns, you know, with early in life? Or was it that person didn't exist? Like, explain that, expound on that a little bit.
You know, like I didn't have that one person until until I was in college, and I was, and it was my SOP about this rim. I'm at UK. Like I'm on TV and stuff like that. Like now in my mind, as we winning games, like and stuff like that, and like, and I'm getting interviewed, I'm like, okay, now, like, now it like is a thing where it's about my mental health, so like who, what, and where do I lean on, and like, and that was my SLP in college, so it was like a second mom, it felt like.
Miles, did you have anybody, that you leaned on early or now?
I would say that kind of same with Mike. I didn't have anybody that I could really rely on. I was really alone in it. But I will say, like, my parents, they definitely, like, they did their best to try and, like, to understand what stuttering is, understand, what I'm going through. But they just didn't know. So I remember times that my dad would try to help me. It was one time it was like a certain period I would always like stutter on words that start with M. So like morning would be like one that I would always stutter on. And one time my dad just came in my room and we like wrote down morning like 20 times, had me say 20 times and said it perfectly. And then the next day I go ahead and good morning, and then I ended up end up stuttering. So like they they definitely tried, but it was like they just didn't know. So I felt like I thought I was letting them down too in a sense, because I'm like you giving your time to try and help me, and I keep on messing up and stuff like that. So it definitely like, made me like, I guess, kind of feel bad a little bit. But once they really were more educated on stuttering, and that came from them after I went to the stuttering camp, and they really like got more educated on what stuttering is, different types of stutters, and I think like moving forward, like that like education about stuttering, a lot of people they like know what stuttering is, but they don't really know what it is, how it like affects people that do stutter, and that education piece is big.
And I'm gonna cut you off, like and that like, and we not dumb, like
Yeah.
you feel me, like ain't nothing wrong with us, right? I think people look at individuals that do stutter as dumb, or even stupid and stuff like that, and nervous and anxious, and they like, just calm down. No, shut up. Like, I am calm.
For real. Everybody's nervous.
Like, yo, so and the one thing that like hit me was I never got stopped by the cops before.
Okay, come on.
Like like ever. Have y'all?
Yeah.
I have.
Damn, what happened?
That's what I thought you were gonna say. It recently happened, but
Nah. I never got stopped by the cops before.
Yeah, I got not. Oh, Jay, you can talk about it.
I mean, I don't want to get too deep into everything, but I mean, I definitely got stopped by cops at least, while driving, like at least like 3 or 4 times, and then there was another, a long story that happened back in Maryland when I was like, I think they're taking like 2017, right? But yeah, like it's always like a little bit more scary because you know, like I'm like, I don't want them to think that, oh, okay, he's stuttering. Like, is he on drugs right now? Is he drunk? You know, is he high, right? And I can't afford to, you know, get locked up or, you know, have something on my record again. You know, like I can't have none of that. So it's just like there's always that extra like layer of like, oh, you know, I don't want to seem like I'm jittery or whatever. I mean, that's just how I speak. I'm not nervous. That's how I speak. So it's always about that, yeah, you know, like just that wondering like how they gonna perceive you, right?
Miles, I know you gotta, head out. But is there anything, comments, anything you want, the people to know, closing thoughts, remarks, anything you have for them?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I hope that this discussion really like inspires people that stutter, that are going through the same issues that we've gone through, to keep going, keep chasing after their goals. I'm a journalist, and I've always had aspirations of being on TV, being on camera, being in front of a mic. It kind of seems crazy to have a stutter and still have that, have that goal, have that, have that dream. And I'll say it wasn't easy because I didn't always have that like mindset of I want to be on TV. For a large portion of my life, I always thought, I'll just be like a journalist that just like writes and isn't on camera or anything like that. Seeing like my dad was a pastor, he's always talking. My mom is a lawyer, she's always talking. They like kind of motivate me to be like, I can speak in front of people. And I was like the one instance that I realized that I can make it in journalism, and that stuttering isn't going to be something that is like is an anchor that holds me back, but rather a springboard that propels me forward. Is when I got invited to NBA All-Star Weekend, and I interviewed. Yeah, and I was able to interview like NBA stars that I've watched since I was like 8 years old, 9 years old, and one guy I interviewed was Chris Paul, and I'll never forget. I told him Miles Johnson, journalism student, and it's always them M's, Morehouse. But I was actually glad that I stuttered, because Chris Paul didn't look at me any different way. In fact, he answered the question, and it got some good publicity for Morehouse and the Maroon Tiger, this school's newspaper. And so I was like, if a guy in Chris Paul can answer my question and not make fun of me or anything like that, and it's one of the best players in the league, I shouldn't be worried about what they have to say, but what they have to say. So all I have to say is, keep chasing your goals, keep, striving for what you want to do, and look at stuttering as something that can, again, be that springboard that propels you forward rather than an anchor that holds you back.
Fire. And Mike, I know that Change Impact is huge for you, and I know coming from your background, being in sports, playing, like what drove you to start this whole thing? Like, what was, give me some insight and light on your thought process behind this whole thing.
Yeah. I know people look at me as the minority of the minority of the minority.
Yeah.
Feel me? Yeah. I'm a black athlete who stutters, right? And in a bubble, at the end of the bubble, it was just a point in time where, like, everything just stopped. Stopped playing. And I'm like, more. So what are we here for? Feel me? Like, we ain't playing. What are we here for? What are we doing? All right? And, like, I was literally, I wanted to find out from like me, like how can I help?
You feel like you got that platform to be the perfect spokesperson to bring light to it. You know what I'm saying? You are an athlete. You are a black man. You do stutter, right? Who better than me, the guy with the platform, to reach back and share my experiences and then help bring up the people that are going through the same thing that I went through, or experiencing the same thing I went through.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And not only just that, it is 1% of our population who stutters. You feel me? Like, it is way, way, way bigger than myself at the end of the day. And like, I acknowledge the ups and downs in my life. I know that I'm a stutter every single day I wake up. You feel me? I'm gonna hit something more and more and more and more and more and more, right? Like, I'm gonna take ownership in that. And mind you, I hate talking still. I hate talking, and I hate the camera. Hate it. But that's just something I gotta do.
I used to hate my stutter, and by an extension, you probably hate a little bit of myself too, right? If I hate something that's like so big, a big part of me, and I feel like it's just like it only has like negative connotations, then it's like I can't really feel good about myself too, right? So just learning to embrace it, learning to be like, yo, it's okay, like it's not that deep, like you stutter, like you can still communicate and still do certain things, and just don't be your biggest enemy, like be your biggest fan, and encourage yourself more on all those things. I think something that helps me through a lot of tough times, like last week for me was a tough week. I had to switch a rotation, right, to a different hospital, and having to like meet a new team, learning, like a new system, everything like that. So a lot of adjustments on the fly, and having to adjust. And sometimes like it was some rough periods, you feel me? I took some L's, right? But I'm good. Like it didn't really like persist long term. I think that's like the biggest growth that I've had, where when I do mess up, or like when I do have a hard like stretch of time, right? It doesn't keep me down for as long as it used to. Like I kind of have like a lot more of like a short-term memory now, right? And I wouldn't really have that if I didn't have to navigate this stuttering world and like really get therapy and speech therapy and like grow from that, right? So yeah, I like who I am right now, and I think that stuttering is a part of it. So I don't think I would take it away. However, like if I had a child, I think it'd be a little different, because I don't want them to have to suffer or like struggle like I did. But I do want to make a world that if my kid does stutter one day, like I will have done enough to like make sure that the world is not as hard on them as it was for us.
Dr. J, I want to thank you for being with us and sharing what you shared. It was incredible. And Gil, I want to thank you for the platform that you provided, and your ability to continue to share and build around this community, man. It's important, it's vital, it's needed, and we appreciate you for it. And be on the lookout for new things coming.
When Dr. J, Miles, I want to thank y'all all for coming, and also just being a part of this story, ambition, and like effort. That's what we hear. It is all about effort, and it changes the stigma. And for all the viewers watching, thank y'all. You can follow us on our social media handles at Change Impact.